All right, so you want to do a deep dive on Kevin Mitnick. Buckle up, because this is a wild one. We're going way back to like the dawn of the internet age, like before cybersecurity was even really a thing.
Yeah, you could almost say Mitnick himself kind of dragged everybody into that world.
Kicking and screaming, yeah.
Yeah.
So it all starts with a bus ride.
Yeah.
12-year-old Mitnick in L.A. wants to ride the buses for free.
Right.
And we're not talking about some Robin Hood thing.
Mm-hmm.
He just wants to figure out how to game the system.
Yeah, and this is the 70s, so forget computers. This is all about punch cards.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like the physical punch cards that actually ran the bus routes. He figured out a way to manipulate those to get free rides.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it shows you, like, he had this almost instinctive understanding of how to exploit these systems, even at that age.
So from manipulating bus routes, he moves on to something a little more high-tech.
Right.
Right. Phone phreaking.
Right.
What exactly was phone phreaking back then?
So phone phreaking, I mean, this was like hacking the nervous system of the information age.
Right.
You had these vast systems, and Mitnick figured out how to speak their language, how to make them do what he wanted.
So it wasn't just about making free phone calls. He was actually learning how the systems worked.
Exactly.
He's learning how to manipulate them. So he's a whiz kid. He's pushing the limits, but then it escalates, right? Sets his sights on DEC, Digital Equipment Corporation,
Yeah.
stealing software. This isn't about bus rides anymore.
This is big leagues now. This is where things get serious. I mean, this wasn't just some prank. He was infiltrating one of the biggest tech companies in the world. And it gets him noticed, but not in a good way. Jail time in the 80s. But here's the thing. Prison didn't deter Mitnick. If anything, I think it just kind of focused his ambitions.
Right. Like they accidentally gave him a crash course in what not to do
Exactly.
and what to do better next time. You think jail time would be like a wake-up call.
Right.
But with Mitnick, it seems like the opposite happened.
Yeah, for him, it seemed like a challenge.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you want to play hardball.
Right.
He disappears, goes completely off the grid, becomes this ghost in the system that he knows so well. And this time, he's not just messing around with phones.
This is where things get really interesting.
Right.
This is where social engineering comes in.
Right. What? So what exactly? So back then, everybody's worried about firewalls, passwords.
Right.
You know, the tech, the fortress.
Mm-hmm.
But Mitnick realizes the real vulnerability isn't the tech. It's us,
Oh.
the people behind it.
Okay.
He figures out how to weaponize trust.
Wow.
Instead of breaking down the door, he's getting someone to unlock it from the inside.
So instead of like brute forcing his way in,
He's using psychology.
yeah.
He's using manipulation, impersonating employees. Using tricks to get people to give him what he wants. Access codes, system, backdoors, you name it.
So simple, but
Devious.
devious, yeah.
Because it plays on our natural instincts, you know?
Salp.
Exactly. You call someone up, pretend to be a janitor. Hey, I'm locked out of the system. Can you reset my password?
Right.
Boom, he's in. Or he'd pose as like a senior technician, walk someone through this whole fake security check,
Oh my gosh.
and they'd be giving him the keys to the kingdom without even realizing it.
And this wasn't just some small-time operation.
Oh, no.
He was going after like,
Everybody. This was about sending a message.
right.
He infiltrated IBM, Motorola, Nokia giants of the tech world. And he was inside their systems, listening to their conversations, stealing their secrets.
It's almost like he wanted to get caught.
It's possible. There's a theory that he saw himself as like a digital age Robin Hood,
Interesting.
you know, exposing the flaws of the system. But whatever his motives, he was making a point. No one was untouchable.
This cat and mouse game with the authorities.
Oh, yeah.
It became legendary.
Yeah.
Especially when you consider who they brought in to catch him. Tsutomu Shimomura. Cybersecurity legend in his own right.
One of the best.
But there's a twist.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
Mitnick had previously hacked Shimomura himself.
Talk about adding insult to injury, right? I mean,
Yeah.
It's almost Shakespearean.
Yeah.
You've got Shimomura, this brilliant security expert, tasked with hunting down the guy who had already beaten him once.
Personal vendetta at that point.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It became this high-stakes game of digital chess, played out on a global scale.
So it's this global game of cat and mouse.
Yeah.
Like a digital version of Sherlock Holmes and Moriarty, right?
Right. And just like any good chase, eventually it all comes crashing down. 1995, they finally catch up with him.
Yeah, I was going to say, he can't stay ahead forever.
Nope. They track him down in North Carolina, and get this, his cell phone, the very technology he'd used to stay ahead of everyone, it gives him away.
Wow. Poetic almost.
Yeah, you could say that.
And there's this almost like audible sigh of relief from
Yeah.
everybody.
Well, totally. I mean, you've got these tech giants, The government, even everyday people, they've been following this story. And he's become this, like, this boogeyman, right?
Right.
And they finally caught him.
The boogeyman's gone.
Right. But here's the thing about boogeymen. They leave a mark, even after they're gone.
Oh, yeah.
And the fear that Mitnick instilled, it really lingered. I mean, this is where that whole nuclear war by payphone thing came from.
Wait, what? Explain that one to me.
So the idea was that, and this is totally false, by the way,
Okay.
but people genuinely believe that he could, like, whistle into a payphone
Right.
and launch a nuclear attack.
Wow.
Obviously, it's absurd, but it shows you just how much fear he instilled, because he had exposed this vulnerability that nobody even wanted to think about, right?
Right.
He showed that in the digital age, power, it's not about armies, it's about information. And he was the master of information.
So 1995, Mitnick goes to prison.
Yep.
Spends almost 5 years behind bars. And you think that's got to be the end of it.
Right.
Not this guy.
Nope, not even close. The story doesn't end there. In fact, you could say it really begins when he gets out.
Okay, so what happens? He gets out. Does he disappear? Lay low.
He does the opposite. Total 180. Takes all that knowledge, all that experience, and he puts it to use.
Like becomes a security consultant.
Exactly. Becomes a sought-after security consultant. Writes books, gives lectures, advises companies on how to protect themselves from the very tactics that he pioneered.
It's like the ending nobody saw coming.
I know. It's like the villain of the movie joining the good guys for the sequel. But it makes sense in a way, right? I mean, who better to understand how to break into a system than the guy who made a career out of doing just that?
That's wild.
It really is.
So when you look back at Mitnick's story, it's easy to get caught up in the hacking, the social engineering, but really it's a story about the growing pains of a society grappling with the power and the perils of technology, right?
Yeah, and it's a story that's still being written. I mean, Mitnick, he forced us to confront those vulnerabilities. He made us realize that security isn't just about ones and zeros, it's about people. It's about trust. It's about the human element. And that's a lesson that's more relevant today than ever before.
Absolutely. I think that's a good place to wrap it up. This was an incredible deep dive. And, you know, the next time I set a password or think twice about clicking on a link, I'll definitely be thinking of Kevin Mitnick.
Me too. He's a good reminder that the digital world is full of shadows and whispers, and you never know who might be listening.
That's a chilling thought. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. Until next time.